Let's talk about this upcoming tour in South America. There will be three concerts in Brazil. You're going to play in Rio, in São Paulo, Curitiba. How excited are you to be back 8 years since the last time?
Is it 8 years? Oh shit. Wow,
Yes,
2017 was the last shows.
yes. We had the pandemic, of course, but it's been a long time.
I know the pandemic feels like it was 1,000 years ago now.
Yes.
It's so straight. Now we're into other things. Um, yeah. Brazil? You want me to say something about Brazil?
No, I would just like to know how excited are you to be back 8 years since the last time?
I'm excited to go to Brazil. I really don't care about the time, but go to Brazil is amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
My father was going there in the 1950s.
Really?
I have a long history with Brazil. Yeah, he was a sailor.
Really?
So I used to
Oh,
go to Brazil. Yeah, he used to tell me stories about what it was like in the 1950s in Brazil.
oh,
It's pretty
good
hectic,
ones.
pretty wild. Um, I know our last show in Sao Paulo with the Who was a good show. That was an excellent show. But we haven't been in Rio for quite a while.
Yes.
It's been a minute. Curitiba usually goes off. A lot of football supporters there. There's a lot of football supporters come to our shows. Ultras.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always interested when, especially Brazilians, some countries like Argentina as well, they always say, "Are you excited to come back to the country?" Or what do you think? It's like if we weren't interested, we wouldn't come. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to do anything. And we know it's been a long time since we've been playing in Brazil, but also the cult doesn't have a label.
Hmm.
We're post-pandemic, but also the way the music industry has dissolved. We don't have the infrastructure of labels and, the opportunity to constantly make music in studios. And Billy lives in the UK. Charlie lives in the UK. I live in Los Angeles. John lives in Los Angeles. So geographically, we're all over the place.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
it's a very different, format for making music now. I, I don't think we want to spend 2 years in the studio making a record, you know? So traveling, it depends where you're going. To go to Brazil is amazing. I mean, I'm excited for the shows because of my experience there with the Doors as well, and you know. But you never know. I can't really throw any expectations out there. I don't know who's going to come. You know, uh, some of our audience are dead already.
Not yet, not yet.
No, some people are. Yeah, you'd be surprised. And I've lost a lot of friends over the last 7 years, 8 years.
Yes.
Yeah, where the world is constantly evolving.
Mhm.
Um, but it's not just going to Brazil for us; it's the experience of traveling to Argentina as well, Peru, Colombia, Chile, Mexico. It's difficult for artists to tour because it's very expensive, you know. And people say, "Why don't you come?" We come every year if we could, but you got to pay for it, and it's expensive. So you got to make a tour work. Like we can't just come and play Brazil. Then we have to play Argentina. You can't go to Brazil and not play Argentina. It's a crime. You will get arrested.
Oh,
You
they
know?
get mad if this happens.
Oh no, no, this would be a big problem. They would come to your house, you know? They would they would find you Um, but no, I love Brazilian. I love Brazil. Very much. You know,
That's
very,
amazing.
very, very much. Because, like I said, my family has history with Brazil, and my father traveling there as a young man. So I've known of Brazil since I was a little kid. Of course, watching football is a big part of my education. Uh,
And I know you're an Everton fan, all right?
I wouldn't say I was a fan. I would say as a fan. Fan to me is somebody who's just like casual.
I don't know the exact expression you guys use in
Well,
this.
no, it's. I mean, people use the term fan. You know, fan. Fan to me, is somebody's casual. Uh, it's in your blood.
Yeah, we don't
It
use
gets.
the word fan here in Brazil also
What do you
for
say?
football. Uh, I don't know if we have the translation very well for it. It's torcedor. It's almost like supporter, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
there's more loyalty than just supporter. It's like an expression we have here.
yeah. It's like a religion. It's. I mean,
Yes.
I spent more time watching football than definitely I spent in church. I don't go to church, so it becomes religion. It's a sacrament, you know. I've traveled all over the world to see football. Seems to be great. You can go to any country and go to any bar, restaurant, on the street, and you can just say player's name and a conversation starts. It's amazing how it unifies. Music and football seem to unify people in a very unique way. Um,
That's probably why you enjoy Brazil because here it's that way.
oh no, so I know it's yeah, the ultras. I'm really interested in the ultra culture, like people who just live and breathe football, but live and
Yeah.
breathe music. You know, it's just a lust for life. That lust for life, that lust for living, that lust for that intimate collective experience. I think that's
Yes.
what's great about live music. And I know Brazilian audiences are very passionate about that kind of intimate gathering. They're not disassociated. Maybe in the West, there's a lot more disassociation, maybe a little bit more consumerism and la 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 la. Yet when I can only speak on my last experience, it felt important, significant. It felt like a very significant performance, a very memorable performances, you know, and whereas, you know, traveling through other parts of the world, you forget concerts. People say to me, "What was it like?" I said, "It happened." You know, it happened. I remember the show in São Paulo in the Allianz Stadium because I was beat after the show. I sat under the stage. Like after the stage, I just collapsed. I was off the stage. I was just taking my time to, you know, come down from the show, and but the energy was still in the stadium. It was pretty incredible.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I got to ask you about this tour because it was announced as a celebration of the cult's 40th anniversary, but you said in an interview last year that you guys are not
Boring.
celebrating anything.
No,
Uh,
it's so boring, so conventional. People so, I mean, honestly, with all respect, like editors and come on, guys. Come on, guys. Stop being so lazy. Uh, it's, you know, last year was 84-24.
Yeah,
I
and
like,
I love the fact that you
yeah,
started that playing Death Cult songs. That's not
yeah,
lazy at
80,
all.
80, 83-23. Felt like Death Cult was more relevant now than it has been for decades. The sentiment of the music of Death Cult. on what Death Cult, the time that Death Cult was made, that music was made, it feels very fresh again. It feels very relevant, and I also know it's very influential in culture. We're in this kind of dark wave moment. Even Lady Gaga has made a dark wave album, or she says she has. Still sounds like pop to me, but you know, she's working with rock producers and Gesaffelstein, and you know, she looks like she's dressed in a very avant gothic fashion style, and even the Mayhem, the logo is kind of vaguely Norwegian, Scandinavian death metal, black metal.
That
Yeah,
was
like
my first reference when I saw the new era.
yeah, but you know, this is something that's very topical right now. I mean, um, perhaps people are feeling that kind of dystopian. Uh, the frequency, we all know everybody knows what's happening in the world. People on, people are awake, and I feel that music really reflects the dystopia. We are living in Black Mirror. You know the TV show Black Mirror?
Absolutely, I love it.
We're living in it. It's come to pass. Here we are. It's not going to go back to the way it was. There's no way, but we keep going. I mean, you respond if you're a creative and you're empathetic to what is happening around you, the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, you respond to that. And Death Cult was a response, you know? That music, those lyrics, the imagery, was all a reflection of the moment. And I still feel it's carrying on. I think Death Cult is still very relevant.
Yes, and let me say something. I felt watching the videos, I may be wrong, I don't know, but I feel that the cult right now, the concerts you guys did last year, it has an energy. It reflects like the fact that you revisited the Death Cult in 2023. I felt you guys kind of brought that energy to the last concerts in 2024. Watching the videos, of course, I wasn't there, but the fact that you are again in a four-piece format, uh, that raw energy from Death Cult. I don't know how to explain it, but you can confirm or say, this guy is wrong. What do you think about it?
No, it's very much more intention. When you've made 11, 12 studio albums, there's a lot of songs to draw from. So say, for example, you focus on Under the Midnight Sun. It's it's kind of a different sense. There's some of the themes are woven in. The DNA of the cult is obvious, evident in Under the Midnight Sun. Under the Midnight Sun was almost a prelude to this moment. It was made during the pandemic, but so was Choice of Weapon, and so was Hidden City, and so was Born Into This. They reflect the moment that these records were made in, but then collectively, to reflect the moment, we can go through 11 studio albums and go, it's this song, this song, this song, this song, and it makes a kind of these are the best choices, the best elements to make the statement for now. And then you find yourself inside of these songs, and it sets a certain pace, an emotional. It provokes us in a very emotional way, and it's pretty serious. It's not really entertainment. I don't think what we're doing right now is entertaining. Maybe a little bit, but this is definitely right now. You're witnessing the burning unicorn. You know, auspiciously, that's what's happening in Los Angeles. You know, fires. Um, Earnestness, naivete, youth is being stripped away in the culture. Social media is brutal. People are pretty savage right now to each other. One thing I love about Cult's concerts is that we're very open. So we have our audiences are very mixed, very diverse. I think it's a place of communion, of sanctity, of ritual space, but we're not just there to do entertainment. And I've never felt that way. If I wanted to be an entertainer, I would have had a very different career. I've never thought this is a career or a job or anything. I've always been in fights with everybody, you know, producers, Billy, record labels, always fighting with these people, you know. It's like, no, 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 no. We got to go do this way. Why? Because this is what we're feeling right now. This is what I'm feeling. But the last album sold 3 million copies. I said, so what? That's done. We've done that. Now we got to do today. What's happening right now? And I think since maybe born into this, we start to find the path again. You know, but it's very difficult because commercially is we were going against the grain. You know, we became very much on the outside, outliers. And now, I guess, in some ways, the culture is catching up with us. You know,
Yes.
even in other genres, you can see the transition into darker subject material or more sensual, more mature. I mean, playing heavy music and jumping off an amplifier is not enough. That's like athletic, you know. If you want to go see an athletic performance, high energy athlete, that's a choice. I mean, that's entertaining. We don't do that. We're going somewhere else, you know. I learned a lot with the Doors. That is something different. It's a different animal. So we're definitely a different animal. The cult's a different animal.
Yes.
And our
And
shows, we don't intend to be antagonistic or provocative, but I do feel there's an element of what's within the music. We present it in a certain way, and it can be confrontational. But then the songs that are quite beatific and transcendent, like Brother Wolf Sister Moon, for example, that song became Rick Owens used it in a fashion show and chose that song to represent the zeitgeist around the Ukraine war. He wanted to have something that was empathetic, melancholic, yet optimistic. And he chose that song. And it fit the mood perfectly of what he's doing as a fashion designer of the time the song was placed. And kind of fell in love with the song again. It felt more like everyone's looking for a way forward, a way out, a way to evolve past this dystopian moment. And that song was almost a sign, it's a sigil, a signal. Brother Wolf, Sister Moon, you know,
yes. I,
it's
I don't know if you believe me, but I was just going to ask you about the Love album because uh,
sure.
this album is coming up on its 40th anniversary. It has Brother Wolf, Sister Moon, as you mentioned.
Hmm.
It has Rain, Nirvana, your first big hit, She Sells Sanctuary. But when you listen to their overall music on this album, it showed already how good the band already was. Like it's the second album, I guess, but it's already showing up. This is the cult. Uh, What
Well, it's in
memories
the
do you have
DNA.
of?
It's in the DNA. You know, it's just the way
Yes.
it's. You wear our influences on our sleeves. This is we built the house on. I mean, Southern Death Cult. Really, you go back to Southern Death Cult, listen to some of those songs. That's the DNA of the cult. Moya, Flower in the Desert, Faith. Um, you know, The Crow. These songs were written in a certain time. We've been in this dystopian moment for quite a long time. Didn't happen yesterday, you know. It happened in previous generations. Experienced it. Punk rock came out of that. Uh, Post World War II rock and roll, the evolution of the protest music, the evolution of electronic music, the evolution of music where lyrics became important, where understanding sentiment, you know, of a lived experience and how to put that over. And that's always been in the DNA of the cult. And I feel that because love synergized a lot of influences, it was maybe the foundation. So you can always draw comparisons to Love as a record. It was a complete moment, and it was done completely intuitively. There were no outside influences. Uh, it was a very pure time. The band became more commercially successful. Then there was more, you know, external elements, forces attempting to, you know, push us in a certain direction, and that's when the fighting started. Because I was always like, no, you know, pushing against A&R guys or managers or whomever. You say, just keep doing this. You'll make lots of money and you can, you know, I was, didn't feel good, didn't feel right, didn't feel appropriate. So we chose the hard road, or at least I chose the hard road and dragged everybody with me. You know, that's why we took hiatus for a couple of years, because when we made the eponymous record in 94, again, it was destroy the past. The archetypal elements stay because they're within you. You listen to the eponymous record. I mean, songs like Saints Are Down or use them, Universal You or Black Sun. I go back and listen to those songs and go, these are really strong songs. But they weren't commercially viable. The record label didn't know what to do with us. They were only used to one thing, you know, MTV. This doesn't work for MTV. They would say these songs don't work for MTV. I said, well, they're not supposed to work for MTV. They're not for MTV. You know, it's very different.
Uh, we don't have much time, but I'd like to ask you a question about future because you're still on tour for the next few months. But are there any plans to write, record, release new music in the near future? I mean, you said before that it's hard to work on new music because some of the guys are living in the UK, you live in America. But is
Yeah,
there any plans for that?
if it happens, it will happen organically. And there's no hard plans, but there are recordings that are already nearly finished, things that we were working on previously. We released Flesh and Bone and Kota Community of the Animals with the re-release of, that only came out as a 7-inch. Nobody even knew it came out. I decided they were death cult songs. Call it whatever you want. For me, felt like a death cult song. These death cult songs, and now people are beginning to listen to those songs and go, "Oh, these are really interesting. Do you have any more?" And we go, "Well, we have a few more from that period." And there's plans to drop some other recordings, maybe from Death Cult, but definitely the Cult. I mean, there's definitely plans to do things, but a formal album in the studio, I don't know. It could happen. It may not happen. We're talking about music right now. We're always talking about music, but I don't know. There's no formal plans to go in the studio and make an album right now. But it's also, if you know about the way that streaming works, the algorithm, you can spend so much time, you can make a masterpiece and you can put it out in the world, and the algorithm doesn't like it, you know, and then it disappears very quickly. You're competing with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of individual artists. There's bands are definitely, seems to me there's a decline in bands and there's an increase in artists who are making records in their bedrooms and studios, more studios. I'll definitely be releasing music. There will be cult music this year, of some description. But I don't think it's not going to be in a format that people would. It's not going to be in a conventional format. There will be one record released maybe in the middle of the year that'll be in conventional format, a live concert. But I can't say much more than that. You have to wait for that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We have to negotiate. We have to do some negotiations to get it finished. But this is with the cult. We are very intuitive in that way. We don't follow a plan or a schedule. It's almost, we kind of work in harmony with the rhythm of what's happening around us. Like the pandemic, Under the Midnight Sun was made. Under the Midnight Sun is referring to the pandemic because it was this anomalous moment where a once in a lifetime experience, you know, generation, not even once in a generation, once in a lifetime, once in a century experience. So it was this anomalous moment. There's just so many layers, but ultimately it has to translate with four musicians on stage, and then you have to use your emotional intelligence to convey this. So a lot of time is spent living, documenting, studying, reading. I don't watch TV. I have two TVs in my house, they're never on. Maybe football, that's about it. Everyone's saying, have you seen this TV show? Have you seen this TV show? Have you seen this film? Have you seen this TV show? I'll go to a theater to see a film. You know, like the last Dune film. I had to see that on a big screen. Because on TV, it's just I don't watch much film, television. I've watched a lot of film in my life. But if it's an important film, I'll watch it. Or I'm interested in it. But mostly I'm reading and listening to music and then training in martial arts and then doing creative direction for the band and then working on other projects. My material, solo, I wouldn't even call it solo projects, the collaborations I'm working on. So my intention is there'll be more cult at some point. There'll definitely be death cult. There'll be more cult. And then I'll be working on other things myself, other collaborations.
Absolutely. Well, all right. I think this is it Thank you so much
Cool.
for your time, and I hope you enjoy Brazil.
I hope so too. I hope to see more than a hotel and an airport. That would be nice. I don't know where we're staying. I have no idea where we're staying in Rio or Sao Paulo. I don't know yet. But usually I find that when we come to cities, the promoters are they just leave you alone. You have to find things yourself, you know? So you have to explore. And I usually go and explore on my own. But there was a time when promoter would say, hey, do you guys want to go out, have dinner, do something cool? That doesn't happen anymore.
It's connected to something that you said before, that it's like we're living in a different moment right now.
Yeah, the death of intimacy, the death of hospitality, the death of intimacy.
Absolutely. But anyway, I still hope that you enjoy Brazil, and thank you so much for your time.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Maybe get to see a football match.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Watch Corinthians. That's my team.
Oh man, everybody's got a team.
That's the biggest one here in São Paulo.
In Sao Paulo, what not Palmeiras or Sao Paulo?
Yeah.
There's so many teams in Sao Paulo though, right? There's quite a few teams.
There are three big ones like Palmeiras, São Paulo, and Corinthians.
Where's
And there are the small ones too.
Where's Botafogo? They're in
It's in Rio.
in Santos.
Santos, it's a city near São Paulo, and Neymar is back to Santos right now.
Oh, cool. That's good. Back to where he started.
Not playing yet, but he's back.
And Flamengo, they're in Rio.
Yes. Flamengo, Botafogo, Vasco e Fluminense.
Fluminense and Vasco da Gama. Yeah. It's hard with the football because, in the United States, you can get satellite, but I usually watch Premier League mostly.
Yeah.
Maybe some Champions League, but I don't have time to watch everything.